laid on the sofa and was like, Jazz, I think I'm going to fucking die. I think I'm having a heart attack or something.
I don't think I won anything until
You coached
that
by me.
first competition, but with you, yeah.
Like that day of the British finals, my God, the amount of stimulants that I took that day was, and that's the way I was living. Like in retrospect, I look at that like, what were you doing?
I had quite a lot of kind of trauma. Lost both my parents within quite a short space of time.
The unfortunate truth that nobody wants to say is that, like, you can't really compete in figure at that level unless you've got genetics like Sydney or something, you know, like you can't compete at that level without virilization.
The challenge of competing and getting peeled, I know I can do it.
Yeah, and you've done it.
And I've done it.
Over and over and over again.
And
if you made the sacrifices that a female needs to make in the figure division, you could certainly take the pro card.
it got to the point where I'd had that many panic attacks that I realised that I wasn't going to die. So I was like, it became less and less of a threat.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode of the Doghouse Chats. However, as you will already be able to see, we're not in the Doghouse. We're actually in the Hen House. We are in the home gym of the one and only Emma Thackeray, who is the special guest today. We've got no Matt. Matt's been replaced with somebody far better looking and far more muscular. I love that this is called the Hen House, by the way. Was it called the Hen House anyway, or was that a spin-off?
No, because we've got hens.
But was it a spin-off of the Doghouse? Was it the Hen House already?
I can't actually remember.
Yeah. Because how have I ended up with the Doghouse and you with the Hen House? There must be some cross wires there.
Yeah, maybe. I did think about doing some merch.
This was here before the Doghouse.
This was here before anything.
Before humankind. Anyway, I will let Emma introduce herself. But before we get into that, some of the topics that I'd love to cover today, you can let me know if it's a yes or a no.
Okay.
Coming into bodybuilding in later life, I'll choose my words carefully there. Exiting bodybuilding, and when I say
even
bodybuilding,
later on,
slightly later in life, going into other things, finding meaning and purpose in various things. Some of the things you liked about competitive bodybuilding, some of the things you didn't like. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about like some of the mindfulness stuff.
Okay.
Maybe some anxiety struggles things, because that's... Do you mind talking about that kind of thing?
No, not at all.
Cool. Because we've been doing a load of stuff on like anxiety and neuroplasticity and mindfulness recently, and people have really enjoyed it. A brief synopsis of why I'm guesting here with Emma is I've coached Emma for 4 and a bit years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can remember exactly where I was when you first inquired with me. I was actually on the M6 driving to the Fit Expo, and I was stopped at the toll, and I got my phone out to pay, and I had a message from you. I don't know what, I remember weird stuff like that. But yeah, so I've seen Emma go from good competitor to incredible competitor. You've taken loads of competitive accolades and had some incredible show days. If anybody doesn't know, Emma's assuming that it's still the pin post, Emma's the middle pin post on my Instagram, because I reckon it's like the most conditioned I've ever seen a client. Freaky, shredded glutes. And then I've also worked with Emma on your sort of movement out of competitive bodybuilding to something that I've really enjoyed coaching, you know, looking at other things that are more performance-based. And through that time, I'd say we've become friends through not just coaching as well.
Oh, definitely.
I'm trying not to get too emotional on this one, but we've had some interesting times together, to say the least.
Some journeys.
And some magical journeys. And Emma's house that we're at right now is both mine and Jazz's like favourite place in the world. So I'm very happy to be here today. By the way, I have got shorts on if anybody's wondering. They're just really short, and this T-shirt's really big. I just caught the side eye of myself in the mirror. I think looks a bit weird, like I haven't got any shorts on.
Anything goes here.
And I will say, without Emma, I don't think any of the content that I've been putting out on mindfulness or anxiety-based stuff would even exist, because I had like my mental health crisis, if you want to call it that, at the time of when you were doing the Milan show.
Yeah.
And I was falling apart, and Emma was the only person that had good advice for me and sent me 1 billion audiobooks. And that led me to like one of my greatest passions right now. So I can thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I don't think I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today without Emma. So I thought
Aw.
we need to get this podcast going. So anyway, that's my spiel done. If you don't mind, this is Emma's first podcast as well.
Yeah.
I'd say you're a natural so far. But yeah, if you don't mind introducing yourself, and then we'll just roll into some chat.
Okay. Well, I'm Emma Thackeray. I am co-owner of the Hen House. I am was a masters bodybuilding competitor, figure competitor. And now I've retired and from competitive bodybuilding, and I am embracing anything that life throws at me in terms of new activities and experiences, because I think sometimes you put those on hold, don't you, while you're in the depths of bodybuilding.
Yeah, you're now ninja.
Yeah, or trying
That's what I'd
to
say
be.
you're doing now. Yeah. By the way, we are drinking Carver on this podcast as well. So if it gets progressively worse as we go on, I'm sorry. I've drank Carver on plenty of podcasts that I've done. If Joe Rogan can smoke weed, we can drink Carver. Like, I've drank Carver on loads of podcasts I've done at home, but I've never done one on film. So
Anything could happen.
Can't hide behind Zoom with no video on. Anyway, let's get the quote-unquote boring stuff out of the way.
Okay.
Bodybuilding stuff. So how old were you when you got into bodybuilding, and what made you decide to compete?
My first competitive year, I was 42. I know.
So much later than most people are getting into it.
Yeah.
So what age did you start lifting?
Not that long before then. I was your typical kind of cardio mum, I think, for a while, and then I qualified as a PT and got into reasonable shape. And someone suggested to me, I used to train with a girl that she was like, "Oh, my friend's a bodybuilder. Do you want me to ask if he'll coach you?" And I said, "Yeah, all right then," because I think I'd gone as far as I could go with my own kind of knowledge, and it just so happened her friend was Josh Maley.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it from there.
Shout out Josh as well.
Yeah,
Josh
shout out
is awesome.
Josh. Nice guy.
Yeah, so you were coached by Josh, and then you were coached by
Callum, yeah.
and then me.
Yeah.
So that's the only 3 coaches that you've had. So you competed with Josh. So Josh prepped
I did, yeah. And I think from that first prep, I realised I'd got kind of an ability to get peeled. I mean, I'd not got enough muscle in that first year, but I went straight into figure. And I can't say I loved the process of going through the prep and getting peeled. I can't say I absolutely loved stepping on stage. I was like rabbit in the headlights.
Yeah, because I think I've noticed that about you. Like, I would always use you as a comparison with other clients in the sense that, because you get skinned, like you get that till there's not a gram of body fat left. But every check-in, there's never I'm really suffering, and etc. Do you think?
No, I think I kind of say sometimes, I feel a bit tired, and you're like, Emma, you're peeled, but I don't. But I don't really. I seem to cope with hunger very easily.
Yeah. Do you think you have a genetic sort of susceptibility to get and stay leaner?
Maybe it's my age.
See, I don't know if you do actually. I think you give yourself some more credit. We've got John. John, you joining? You join in for the podcast? No. We're going to get John on it as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say that you just like genetically appealed all the time, because peak off season, like especially like when you were coached by Cal, like you can gain.
I was nearly
body fat
70 kilos. I'm only 5'2"
ish. Yeah, I think you just seem to weather it quite well.
Yeah.
Which is good. So did you turn up to your first show peeled as? Like...
Not as peeled as the iconic shredded glute picture, but it was clear that I was one of the most conditioned.
Yeah, and you think that's why you've done so well for the most part?
I didn't do particularly well in that.
What were your placings like?
I think I didn't place it. I did 5 shows, I think, in that first year, and I think I just continued to do them to just build up the experience and get more confident on stage, because also I couldn't pose either very well, and left it to the last minute to learn how to do that. Obviously, I've fine-tuned that skill over the years, but I got 1 second placing in that first year.
So if you didn't really like the stepping on stage, what made you want to keep coming back and doing it?
Because I'd got this ability to get peeled, and I got a bit of a buzz from it.
Yeah, and that's a way to showcase it. Yeah.
And it gives you a goal, you know, it gives you something to work towards, rather than say, I'm just going to get peeled for no reason.
So how many years were you competing before you won your class?
I don't think I won anything until
you coached
that
by
first
me.
competition, but with you. Yeah.
Didn't win anything until you coached by me, eh?
No, that was my first win.
Good. I'll have to rub that in
And
Cal's face
every
at some point.
every time I win, not every time, it's not happened that many, but it's happened a few
I
times.
don't know. It does happen pretty frequently.
I'm always shocked and surprised, stunned.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, do you know what your first stage weight was?
I think I was about 52, 53 kilos.
Not as peeled as, and then okay,
certainly not as much.
What was the final
muscle.
stage weight, and how many years later are we talking?
8 years later. I don't know. Maybe like 55, 56 kilos.
Yeah, so you didn't gain a load of stage weight.
No,
but the look changed.
But I got more and more
drastically.
peeled. Yeah.
Yeah. So each
I certainly grew
competitive.
some legs.
Oh yeah. So each competitive season, turning up a bit leaner and a bit bigger, can graduate you to the win. I think there's a couple of great lessons for competitors in there. One, don't expect to win anything or everything in your first competitive season. It can take years. It's like I always talk about Jazz. It's like she was competing for like 7 or 8 years before she even placed. But then she had that one season where she just won everything and got like PCA overall and stuff like that. I get a lot of like inquiries for consultations from people that are really frustrated that they're in their second competitive season or even first, and they're not winning. Some of them are placing, they're not winning, and they're like, "Why am I not?" It's like it just takes time.
Yeah, and just don't turn up and be self-entitled. You know, everyone's worked hard to get there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so you went through 8 years or so. Was it 8 years, you say, competitive?
8 years.
And then you get to the point that you're winning a lot. You would, from the outside, it looks like you're on the top of the game. And then you decide, that's enough for me.
I'm done.
So why are you stopping when... Because you could absolutely get an IFBB pro card. Like, absolutely get a Masters pro card. If you put the time in, I'll say if you made the sacrifices, because this is probably the thing worth talking about, if you made the sacrifices that a female needs to make in the figure division, you could certainly take the pro card. So there's obviously a sort of calculation here going on where, okay, here's what I need to do, and then I get the pro card. The card obviously isn't worth it. Can you run us through why?
Oh, I've never been driven by getting a pro card. I've just been driven by looking better each time. And, you know, I don't want to come last, but I think I probably have got to the point where the challenge of competing and getting peeled, well, I know I can do it.
Yeah, and you've done it.
And I've done it.
Over and over and over again.
And I don't want the health compromise of doing it again. And I think the way that the figure category is going, in that each year the girls are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't want that in my everyday life. I don't want to look like that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's no secret that, especially over the past 3 years, it seems that the female classes in IFBB are getting more muscular. Well, I do tend to wonder, like, when is it going to start shifting back in the other direction? Like, I thought it might be the case when wellness came out, that it'd be like, okay, we've got this, like, here's where bikini was kind of graduating to. Maybe bikini will kind of shrink back down, and there's quite a discrepancy between, like, bikini, wellness, figure. But it doesn't seem to have been the case. Like, even wellness has got bigger and bigger. Like, I've got, like, Carol, for example, who's 6 weeks out of the minute, is like, the amount of size she's had to add to keep being competitive as a pro over the last 2 or 3 years is crazy. So yeah, the figure class now, the muscularity is unreal.
Well, my feedback was obviously more glute. It's a lifetime's battle. But more upper back, and I thought, I don't want more upper back.
Yeah, big traps on a female.
I don't want that look.
Yeah, I think it's scaring, at least from what I've seen, it's scaring a lot of females away from the division. Yeah,
I think I sent you a post, didn't I, saying, if this is the way this category's going, I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, it's turning very physique-esque, I find.
Yeah.
Especially at the pro level.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to turn off a lot of women. A lot of women will like the look. That's fine. But then I kind of wonder, like, where do people like you go? Because what your
retire.
Options? Yeah, I guess.
We do something else.
Because you can't compete in wellness or bikini.
No.
And to do figure, you'd have to, like, virilize yourself.
Well, I think as well, because of my own natural structure, genetics, for me to create that X frame is quite challenging. Yeah. And I can see why the feedback was more upper back, because I'm quite wide through the waist.
Yeah, like, you've got great delts, but, like, you'd need to add a lot of size to, like, delts and even clavicular pec, quads, just to create that kind of, like you say, X frame that the judges are looking for when peeled. And God, like,
and I'm not deluded. I understand my own limitations, and I'm not prepared to do whatever it takes to make some judge happy.
Yeah. I think the way you've done it is the way that I'd love to see. I was going to say love to see more women do it, like, but even men, where you have a period of your life. I was talking to somebody on a consultation about this yesterday, actually, where, like, I think you should, if you love bodybuilding, you love competing, I think it's reasonable for you to say, right, I'm going to have X number of years that I'm going to dedicate to this. And there's a certain, like, for men, we could say maybe there's a certain, like, drug load I'm happy, or even for women, there's a certain drug load that I'm happy to expose myself to. Maybe for women, there's a certain trade-off on virilization, because the unfortunate truth that nobody wants to say is that, like, you can't really compete and figure at that level unless you've got genetics like Sydney or something, you know, like, you can't compete at that level without virilization. The question becomes, like, how much? And if you can say, well, it's like 6 years or so, because in my experience, and I don't know if you've seen similar with friends that compete or whatnot, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to give this 3 more years and I'm going to do like 4 more cycles. But then that rolls around and they go, oh, you know, maybe I'll try for my 35th birthday, I'll try for the Masters Pro card. Or maybe I'll just give it 1 more year. And it ends up never stopping.
Never ending. Well, I think, because obviously I can go into a different age category now, should I? Should I want to? The last possible age category there is.
You could definitely get a pro card there.
Are you trying to twist my arm?
No, because I actually think what you've done is really smart. And here's me as like a coach. Like, I make my money off of putting people on stage. But even admittedly, I'd say is like, what you've done, that's good. You know, don't, because again, because I've been doing this for such a long time, I've seen people exit like you have and be full of regret. Again, I was talking to this guy in this consultation yesterday about this. It's like, especially in females, the regret, I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this, but the regret is huge. You know, when you're quite virilized, but because you're so muscular, it almost suits you. I'm not talking about you, but, you know, for some of these competitors. But then when they come out and they downsize, now you're like a virilized, fit person. And that's quite an uncomfortable place to be, you know. So yeah, I think you've done it right. You've exited at the right time. Do you feel like, oh, I wish I could do that one more time? Or
No. In fact, I think even in my prep last year, I said to you, don't think I'm going to do this again. And the only thing that was driving me to possibly do it again was the fact that I could go into a different age category, and potentially have some success there. But I don't want the health costs. I just wonder how many years I shave off my life getting that peeled, putting my body under that kind of stress.
More than most people would care to admit. It's horribly bad for your health getting that lean, horribly. And yeah, we only do it for an acute period, you know, so.
But it's not until now I'm actually doing some cardio, that I feel really good. And I realise how terrible I felt for the majority of time.
Yeah.
Whether that be pushing, you know, body weight up to try and add lean tissue, or getting peeled. I think I've said on a post this morning, there's a very small window where health is optimal and you feel okay and you look okay, you know. And the rest of the time, you're not there.
Yeah, bodybuilding is the process of like a hamster wheel of discomfort. And I think over time, there's a cost to pay for that. You know, for people like us that are sort of into mindfulness and Eastern philosophies and stuff, you could look at it like this is going to get esoteric here, but it's almost like yin deficient sport, where there's a lot of doing. It's a process of doing, every day's doing, but there's never any non-doing.
No.
And I think over years, chronic exposure to surplus, then deficit, or super physiological PEDs, then, or super physiological androgens, then lipolytics and stimulants and critically low body fat, you're never in a place where you're optimizing for health, really. Even in like maintenance phases, if you're hypermuscular, you're not optimizing for health.
No.
You know? So yeah. What advice would you have for somebody that's, we'll say, north of 40, a female that's north of 40 that's just getting into lifting? Someone in the gym has said, "No, you give competing a go. You got the right genetics and shape and stuff."
I do understand why it's appealing, because, you know, if you've had children and you can create a bit of a new identity, not complete new identity, but you can do something that's for you. And I think that's one of the reasons why I did it, why I got into, well, fitness and then on to competing, was just to have something that was for me and not, you know, something to do with my family.
Yeah.
So what advice would I give to someone getting into it? Well, I think the advice I would give some, whether they were over 40 or not, would be not to have bodybuilding as your whole identity. You know, have some other interests, things going on.
Yeah, I think you touched on something there that's been my experience with like masters competitors is, you know, that Viktor Frankl quote, which is like, the meaning of life is to live a life with meaning. I think people find, I think that's the quote, I might have misquoted that, but I think people find like a new purpose, because bodybuilding has utility in the sense of like, you wake up in the morning and you've got things that you know that you can do, like there's structure and there's little hits of dopamine every time you eat a meal.
Ticking the boxes.
It's like such structure, and you know that everything you do is contributing towards this outcome. If you're coming from a life where you maybe just did some cardio here and there, you weren't like tracking progressive overload. Now you've got the opportunity every day to tick that box, or you weren't really tracking food. Well, now you can like, every day nail this. And
and also you've got the visual aspect of it, where you look different. You think, well, actually, I look all right. You know, I look better than average. And that's motivation in itself to keep, you know, pursuing.
Well,
but also, I think when you are in that bodybuilding circle, community, whatever you want to call it, like the only voices that you're hearing are from other people in the same kind of unit, and it's not always a balanced.
No, you
view.
you completely lose touch of reality. This like I discovered this when, like, because I was interested in nothing but bodybuilding for about 15 years, and then when me and Jazz started this fertility chase, like I started jiu-jitsu, and it was so strange but so refreshing to like be around normal humans of like the only people I spoke to were like online coaches. So I didn't know anyone with like a job, you know, although it's a job, but you know what I mean. And the way they train and the things they talk about and whatnot, and you realize how conditioned you are into this thing. Yeah. And actually it teaches you how alien what we do is to a lot of people.
Yeah. And also, if it's the only thing that you've got going on, boring.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You're not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, you realize there's a world outside of it. Like, you think it's heavily purposeful and dopaminergic in a sense, and then you go and do something else and you're like, wow.
And you're out your depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the neurological consequence that you mentioned there is something worth touching on, because, like, especially for a prep, I've had loads of clients that's like, I always, rightfully or wrongfully, compare it to like postpartum depression. I wouldn't put it on the same scale. Obviously, I'm not trying to like trivialize postpartum depression, but you know, you go for a prep and everything is so like dopamine heavy. You get to the other side of the show and there's like a void.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Taoist philosophy would say that happiness doesn't come from wanting. You know, it's like where we want the placing or, you know, the trophy or the pro card or whatever. You get to the other side, and even if you've got the thing, there's an emptiness.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is one of the issues with competitive bodybuilding, is it's very endpoint focused. It's almost anti-mindfulness because you're never present with what you're really doing.
I like to think that that maybe at some points it has kind of consumed. It has been all consuming. But I think certainly since you've been coaching me, it hasn't been my complete identity. And I
Bigging
think,
me up properly on this. This is good.
And I think that's why I was quite easily was able to make a decision in, do you know what? I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I do, as a coach, try to press like the importance of modalities and experiences outside of just being endpoint focused. So I'm glad that's come across. So you mentioned doing other things. Like, do you reckon you could have been as successful? And it's worth saying here, like, Emma isn't just any competitor. You're looking at Miss Universe over here, like serious accolades, and have reached the peak of bodybuilding contest prep condition, which most competitors never do, and have been rewarded for it. Do you think you could have done all of those things with some of the things you're doing now, like your MMA training, which is a new thing, running, your cycling?
Yeah, I do.
You do, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think you can talk yourself into not doing anything else if that's the way you want to see it. But, in fact, I kind of wish I'd have done more.
Yeah, but that's epic feedback, I'd say. Because I'd love it if more clients had hobbies outside of, because you know what you do when you only do bodybuilding as well, where you do everything on your own. Like, you're training here on your own, you do cardio on your own, you're eating your meals on your own. Very isolating. I'm sure you feel this. You go and train MMA, you're there for an hour, or whatever, it goes like that. You realize you haven't thought about anything.
No.
There's a lot of thinking involved in bodybuilding.
Yeah, there's a lot of thinking involved in MMA for me.
Obviously, well, it's that flow, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. But yeah, it's like to do contact sport with somebody else is completely novel to me. I'm absolutely loving it.
I think in bodybuilding, there's a lot of time to ruminate on your problems.
Well, I think you said about jiu-jitsu being playful, and I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much.
And that's what bodybuilding is missing. It doesn't have a community like jiu-jitsu or MMA does. You know, it's not something you really do with other people. Is it like you can go to the gym and train with someone, and maybe talk to some people at the gym, but that's not the same as literally having like adult play. Which I think is so sort of renewing to the nervous system in a way.
Yeah, and I I think I was like, no, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
I don't want to roll around on the floor with somebody. Turns out I really like rolling around on the floor.
So imagine if all of your cardio and expenditure could have been done like MMA or cycling and things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd have got peeled even quicker, if that's possible.
Maybe I wouldn't be so immobile.
Yeah.
No.
So I think some great takeaways there are you can do competitive bodybuilding, you know, you can do all the things that you need to do, but try to program in other modalities as well.
Well, I think there's a very much like the thought with lots of bodybuilders that if you're doing bodybuilding, you're doing bodybuilding, and you
that's
can't
who
think,
you are.
and that's who you are, and you can't do anything else, or you're not really serious about it. But I don't think that is the case. It's certainly not for me, anyway.
Yeah. So do other modalities, know when to get out, probably have a fixed, I would say for anybody coming into this, when you're rational headed and you haven't got into the cycle of competitive seasons, is like decide how far you want to take this and put a hard line finish on, especially for females. But like, if you're not natural, which most female competitors in IFBB, they're not natural. If you say, this is the max that I want to do, you know, before I'm calling it quits.
Yeah.
And no matter where you end up.
Well, also, I think when the kind of criteria goal is constantly changing, like, you know, there has to be, for most people, an end point.
Yeah, I think you really model this well because you've gone in, you clearly like have genetically well suited to the figure category. Like you haven't got the best figure genetics ever.
Nope.
But
I can style it out.
They're above average. You've done really well. You've got peeled. You've had fun, and then you've moved on.
Yeah.
And that's
and
what
no
I think is really
regrets
lacking.
at all. You know.
Well, no, because
I've learned a lot from doing it. You know.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want this to come across as like we're saying we don't like competitive bodybuilding or something. Like, I love it. This is it's like it's my passion. This is what I do every day. Is like coach competitors, but I think we have to be fair and honest on. There has to be an end point. It's not something that is designed to be done forever.
No, unless you want to run yourself into the ground.
Yeah, there'll be a consequence.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking of running yourself into the ground.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, because we're halfway through here, I really wanted to dive into some of the Eastern philosophy, the mindfulness, the Buddhism. John's just throwing kava across the room back here.
Not very yin, is it?
No, there's too much yang in this in this gym. So, like I said, Emma was the one that, like, I mean, I've meditated for years. I just hit 3,500 minutes of meditation, by the way. Yeah,
congratulations.
That was my most recent celebration. But yeah, but you know, I meditated all wrong back then. I meditated to change the way that I feel, not to become present with however I feel. And Emma's recommendations of audiobooks, of which I've listened to all of them, probably more than once, are the things that really set me, changed my life forever, I'd say. So I'd love to know where that came from and, you know, all of that.
How I got interested in it. I think the same as you, just trying to
figure out how to deal with
how to
suffering.
Not feel mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think one thing just leads to another, doesn't it? And I came across good old Ram Dass.
Yeah, I think that was the first audiobook you sent me, the Becoming Nobody.
Yeah, and
Ram
the
Dass.
Why Buddhism is True.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a heavy going one though. That I don't think I've finished that.
Oh really?
No.
I didn't think that was too tough. The Thich Nhat Hanh stuff I had to listen to a few times. But what I've noticed on these recent podcasts is like we were talking about, because Matt was saying he had his first panic attack recently.
Yeah.
And it was in the gym. And we put out a little reel on that. And I was blown away by how many people messaged me after that saying, thank you for saying this. You know, I've had real bad anxiety with the gym. You know, I went through this period of having a panic attack every time I went into the gym. And, you know, I didn't really understand what this anxiety was or what to do with it and stuff. So I think this is part of the problem is you think that you're like uniquely suffering.
Yeah.
And what reading a lot of that stuff taught me is like, for example, some of the Taoist texts that are from 2500 BC, over 4,000 years ago, and they're suffering the same as we are now.
They're having panic attacks.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they use that language, but they're suffering like we are, and all humans suffer. And I think now, especially Western society that's based on constant striving and pushing things to the side, is it leaves people, especially social media, it leaves people feeling like they're uniquely lost and suffering. When
We're all in it together.
Yeah. When actually I've recently discovered that, you know, because I've had struggles with anxiety and whatnot, and you have as well, is I've discovered how many people, even in this area, you know, big, strong men, same thing.
Yeah.
But that's where I really found the answer to moving through that suffering. And the interesting thing for me, I'll stop talking in a second, was when I looked into the literature on psychotherapy for dealing with anxiety and stuff, you'll find acceptance and commitment therapy, or even exposure and response prevention, which is going into the fear and surrendering to it, loosening your grip on it and whatnot. These are all things that were being taught 4,500 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, if it's not too personal, could you tell your story of
My anxiety story.
Yeah. And then how you moved through it, and if you've got any advice for people that may be where you were.
Well, it was a different age when it was a different time when I had my struggles. I was in my early 20s, and I had quite a lot of kind of trauma. Lost both my parents within quite a short space of time. I think it's fair to say, while simultaneously going through a bit of a wild period of my life. You know, I was only in my early 20s. And yeah, I had a panic attack. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know what a panic attack was a thing. I just thought I'm dying, and I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. It's very, very frightening moment. Anyway, there wasn't all the kind of, there was no internet then. So for me to kind of research or get any help, or, you know, trying, because I was quite determined that I did not want to stay in this kind of this terror state that I was in, and it was chronic as well. It went on for like several years. Yeah, I had to go to the library and get books out, actual books.
See, I don't know if that's better or worse in a way, because one of the problems that I had because I had a similar experience, I won't talk too much about this, but this was like last year. Ironically, actually, like my life changed. Do you remember the British finals?
Yeah.
So we'd come here on the Friday night. I remember Leon was there as well. And this was a period of my life that I'd never been so stressed in my life. I was sleeping maybe 3 hours a night, and I don't know why. I was so stressed out, and there was this just underlying feeling that I didn't like. I didn't know what it was. I just carried on, and I really wasn't looking after myself at the time. Like that day of the British finals, my God, the amount of stimulants that I took that day was... And that's the way I was living. Like, in retrospect, I look at that like, what were you doing? But anyway, so we went home Saturday night, didn't we? So we went out for dinner. We went home the Saturday night. And again, I'm just like munching stimulants on the drive home. I remember I chewed about 2 packs of chewing gum. What was I doing? And I woke up Sunday morning again, like 2 hours sleep. And again, I'm right back to it. And I remember I was making cream of rice, just normal, but stimmed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my heart's racing. I looked at my watch, this same watch, it was like 170 heart rate. And I was like, I'm fucking dying. Now I know this was like a panic attack. So I was going to go to open mat jiu-jitsu. I was just like laid on the sofa and was like, Jazz, I think I'm going to fucking die. I think I'm having a heart attack or something. And all my vision changed. Like everything sounded weird. Like my depth perception was all off. Now I know this is like this derealization stuff. So I just laid there all day on the Sunday, woke up Monday. It was still there, you know, and the fear, I've never felt anything like that in the bottom of my gut. And from that day on, I was waking up every morning, racing heart, irrational thoughts, racing thoughts. And it was fucking terrifying. And it went on like that until just recently we went to Italy. It was the first time I woke up, and I'm not afraid to say this, I woke up and I cried. And I was like, what's wrong? I was like,
I'm cured.
It's the first time I've woken up without my heart rate, like north of 150.
Yeah.
Like, I still had this nasty anxiety all day. But what this was a process of now I see was stress jug got so full. I think my nervous system just broke.
Yeah.
You know, but a bigger problem, my point in this was that, sorry, I will stop talking. Was that
I
was researching. That was making me ruminate.
Yeah.
Like, what could this be? Is it this supplement? Is it this drug? Is it this? Is it that? And irrational stuff. And that was keeping it alive. Whereas if that first panic attack had happened and I was like, oh, it's this, I'm going to carry on as normal, independent of how I feel, it probably wouldn't have even lasted until the next day.
No, but how would you be armed with that information, not having a panic attack? Because you wouldn't seek out, how do I deal with a panic attack, having not ever had a panic attack?
No. I'm really glad it happened now, though. There's that quote, like, what is the price of peace? Like, if that hadn't happened for me, I wouldn't have learned any of the things that I know now.
Well, I can remember when we were in Milan, you said to me, how did you get over having panic attacks?
See, that was actually the following week, wasn't it? And I'd had another panic attack in the airport on the way.
Easily done.
And I remember coming and meeting you at the Crown Plaza, and my vision was so bad.
I know, it just kind of closes in, doesn't it?
I didn't know what was happening to me.
No.
It was
and you
terrifying.
were really ill as well.
I was ill at the same time, which again, it was like this stress jug thing, you know. But anyway, I've spoken too much. Please.
No, you said to me, how did you deal with them? How did you make them stop? How did you get over it? And I think it got to the point where I'd had that many panic attacks that I realised that I wasn't going to die. So I was like, it became less and less of a threat.
Yeah.
And then they just went.
I remember really clearly you saying to me, it was like, if I'm going to fall down, I'm going to fall down. You know, and that's the attitude
and I never
started
did.
taking. Yeah.
Never did.
I think that's the key, isn't it? You show your brain. Because what was it just unbelievable for me is how you can go from one person overnight to a different person.
Yeah.
That was terrifying for me. Because I was the kind of person, like, we went to Nashville a few months before and, like, I had no fear of nothing.
No.
We were acting silly. You know, like, Jake's laughing. The day that, like, we're taking LSD and Adderall at the same time. Like, and I'm fine. You know, the idea of doing that now, what am I thinking? But, you know, how you can just become a complete different, because I became terrified of everything. I'll be at the garden centre, my heart racing and vision all crazy stuff. But it's that, isn't it? Like, you take it with you. And eventually it stops.
Yeah. But I think, like, once you've, for me, and it sounds like you had a similar experience, once you have that first panic attack, I changed from that point.
Yeah.
And it did take me several years to
Yeah, see, this is only like
climb
9
out of
months
it.
ago for me. And I wouldn't say I'm the person that I was before, but in a better way, you know, but, you know, I've still got some work to do. I'm so grateful for where I am now. But yeah, it's insane how you can change like that. And then how you can be, it's like how your amygdala can be stuck in a state of constant threat, and the kind of impact that can have on you. And your world gets so small, you know, like I was so scared, like I wasn't going jiu-jitsu.
No.
I remember doing check-ins, shaking and having to like walk around the garden and try and calm myself down. But it was all this trying to calm myself down that was the problem, which is where these audiobooks helped me, because it was accepting the way. And this is what I learned from the work of like Dr. Claire Weeks, who wrote that Hope and Help for Your Nerves book, which is incredible, which is stop trying to change the way you feel. Stop trying to avoid it. In fact, recovery is in the place you least want to look.
Yeah.
And you do get to that point, don't you, where you're like, I'm not living like this anymore.
No.
I'm going to go jiu-jitsu, and yeah, it might fucking suck. And it might be terrifying.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go anyway.
Well, it's that you've just got to expose yourself to the things that seem like a threat. And then you realise it's not so bad.
Until your brain calms down. So you were talking to me recently about, or you were saying on a most recent check-in, it's like you feel better than you felt for a long time. And we spoke about some of the reasons why. Give people a rundown on how they can find peace and contentment.
Start doing cardio for a start, because
Yeah?
I hadn't done that for years.
What do you think it is about cardio that centers you?
I think it's just even the running. Like after the kind of initial 10 or 15 minutes of absolute, why am I doing this? You know, it's horrible, it feels awful. And then you get the endorphins start going, and you think, oh, yeah, this is what it's about.
Yeah, I think the cardio is, like when I'm lifting, I can think. And I think I thought myself basically into an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
You know, you can ruminate in between sets. But I notice something when I go to jiu-jitsu or when I go for a run, is because it's constantly stimulating and you do get into that flow state, it's forced mindfulness. I'm like, oh, wow. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, all the horrible feelings have come back. But for the last half an hour or so, I was fine. So that means that this isn't a permanent state.
No.
This isn't something causing this that I
No.
can't get away from. This is the brain directing to that. And I think you give yourself those little windows, those little glimpses with something that demands like the best of your effort or concentration.
Yeah. And now, the way that I feel now is that actually I'm going to go and do some cardio today, because I know that will make me feel really good.
Yeah.
Even though it will not feel very nice for the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think the run followed by cold shower is undefeated for shifting mood.
Oh, I won't do a cold shower.
Oh, I love the cold shower after the
Give me a river any day.
But I think, and I'd be interested to see if you agree with this, it's like meditation has really helped me with things like cardio, because sitting with a single point of focus for somebody like me that thinks so much was impossible. But the better I get at it, the better I can create distance between my thoughts and emotions and me, like be the observer, as Ram Dass would say. And I can focus, like, if I'm running, you know, independent of how I feel, I can focus just on the running.
Yeah.
You know? So do you keep in a, so, sorry, you mentioned cardio as the first thing.
I listen to music.
Yeah.
As well. Like, one of my other new things is to expose myself to music that I've not listened to before. So I've got my headphones on when I'm running. I love it.
I think that's a great point, because when you're suffering, or at least I did, is like you move away from the things that you used to love. Because I got so obsessed, I'd be listening to every podcast on like anxiety recovery, or every audio book on anxiety recovery, or psychotherapy, or supplements to help, and all this. And I stopped listening to music, stopped not doing anything. You know,
rock solves everything.
Yeah. And again, it's a way to force your brain somewhere else, isn't it? Distraction.
Yeah, and it's just well, we've like from the beginning of time, we've kind of had some kind of form of music or sound making, haven't we? So it just seems like a very, I don't know, human.
Okay, so
human thing to do.
we've got cardio, we've got music. What else is in your I'd say they're meditative practices in their own way.
And I do have a creative background.
So important, creative practice. That's something that I program into loads of my clients, like nervous system regulation things.
So I get the paints out every now and again.
And, you know, if you're watching this and you don't have anything creative that you do, just try it. Like, I've never drawn anything in my life, but you've seen Jazz has got me just painting random stuff on canvases. And again, it was another example. It's like, wow, I haven't thought about my own nonsense for the last hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got creative practice as well. I think with where you live here, such a beautiful place, we'd be remiss not to mention nature.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is my first go-to for whatever state my head is. If I just I'm straight out into the countryside here. So or even if I just go in the garden, it's my panacea for everything. Never, ever fails, ever.
I think one thing you do that people could take a massive lesson from is first thing in the morning, or at least, I don't know if you still do this, but you were last time we were here. First thing in the morning, you're up, you get yourself a drink, go out to where the sun rises, barefoot, watch the sunrise. So, and I always say this to clients, is like, before you let stimulus in, go and just get grounded.
Yeah.
So like, my phone will be on airplane mode before I sit at the desk, and I have to have been outside, had my bare foot on the grass, looked at the sun, maybe breathed a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, get yourself right before you start. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. Well, weather permitting, if it's absolutely flinging it down, I don't.
But just getting out in nature is so potent. I did that carousel post a while ago, and there's so much evidence-based like supporting data on getting out in nature. So we've got cardio, nature, grounding, barefoot.
Grounding, kick your shoes off.
Yeah. And these are all things that you can do, but they're ways of somewhat practicing non-doing as well, because they're not stimulating like social media is, or a stress of work or something like that. There's something to bring your mind to a single focus. And I think that's when the mind relaxes, when you're only focused on one thing. Do you have a meditative practice that you do?
I sometimes do a yoga nidra.
Yeah.
Although I do tend to have a little snooze.
Yeah.
when I do it. But even so, for me to be able to kind of have a little snooze in the day.
Yeah, that's pretty parasympathetic.
Yeah. And I always feel better after it. So, I just go out and stare at the fields and the birds and the clouds.
These are all mindful practices, because what we've got here is a good chunk of time in the day that isn't stress stimulated. You know, it's coming back to nature, lowering the stimulus.
Yeah.
With things that activate the part of the brain that's going to be related to pushing things like GABA up and serotonin up and whatnot. Because this is something that I deal with a lot of clients where they say, like, I can't meditate, I can't sit still and whatnot. You know, I would say you're probably exactly the kind of person that should do it in that case, because it's an exercise.
Yeah.
You know, every time you bring your mind back to a single point of focus, it's like a rep in the gym I always combine it with. But you don't have to. You can do Qigong, like moving meditation. You can do Tai Chi. You can just get out in nature and leave your phone at home and try to fast the mind for a little bit.
Or even like playing an instrument, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some
we've had a few jams, haven't we?
Jams on Mars and things like that, yeah.
We did a good rendition of, is it Back in Black?
Well, it's probably supposed to be.
It was good in our heads.
Back in Black, yeah.
But yeah, just learning an instrument as an adult takes a lot of focus. So
I bet there's some.
Can't think about anything else when I'm trying to coordinate hands and feet.
That's really
separately.
good for the brain. I bet there's some like heavy new neural pathways that get laid down there.
Yeah, there is, because if I accidentally learn a bit wrong and I go back to my lesson and my instructor says to me, oh, you should have been hitting the ride and not the hi-hat, then I have to go back and relearn it, and it's really hard.
Yeah. Is there any other mindful practices that you would recommend people include in their day? I mean, there's a lot there.
I don't think I have any time for anything else.
Yeah, that is one thing. Isn't it? But there you go. Maybe anybody watching this, one or more of those simple practices can really really contribute towards your nervous system health, especially if you're a bodybuilder that's constantly caffeinating and lifting and blah, 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 especially in a prep. Is like, build it. This is something that's been so helpful with my clients, is like building in modalities, just like you treat nailing your meals. Have a 10-minute meditation or 10 minutes of grounding, or, whatever it is, just trying to have a single point of focus, or emptying the mind, or being concentrated on just one thing. Treat it like you treat everything else that you do, with utmost importance. And I'd honestly say over the past year or so, that's been the most potent shift that I've seen to people's enjoyment of the process, even the way their physique looks, because naturally things like cortisol are going to be lower. Recovery is going to be much better. It's been pretty potent. Right, we're coming up on time here. That's been a jam-packed episode. Thank you for joining us, Emma. Please,
Thank you for having me.
Please let everybody know where they can find you.
What?
On Instagram.
On Instagram,
yeah.
Emma Thackeray. Emma_Thackeray.
I think it's
underscore.
I'll tell you, it's _ Emma _ Thackeray, spelled THACKRAY.
That's correct.
Not Thackeray. Yeah.
No.
Right. Guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Thank you.